my pedal. Okay. So for anyone who's unaware what we're looking at here and what we're going to be talking about, Noah here on the right was disqualified from NAIC in round 11, in the middle of round 11, I believe. If someone wants to correct me in chat, feel free at any point. And people believe it was for this interaction here on stream coming up here in this clip. So we're going to watch the clip. People think that the reason Noah was disqualified was from this clip. Now, it could be a different reason. The problem with that, though, is the judges, the TO, Pokemon, TPCI never make statements on these things. So we don't have anything. We can't, like, just sit here and wait. There's nothing to wait for on their end. And I don't want to give them, like, too much of the benefit of the doubt because they refuse to release statements. So because there's no statement from Pokemon ever on these situations, I think we just have to take it for what it is. And assume that this is the reason that Noah was disqualified from NAIC, which is coming up here. So we're going to slow it down here a little bit. Go to what? 0.5. Perfect. So Noah plays an Ultra Ball, and then he goes to look behind. Let me see if I missed... I did miss a little bit. All right, so Noah plays the Ultra Ball. Is on this turn, Noah is looking for Unfair Stamp to disrupt Henry. And plays this Ultra Ball to thin out the deck before using Refinement or Concealed Cards as Radiant Greninja to increase the odds of finding Unfair Stamp. So we see Noah plays the Ultra Ball, picks up the deck, goes to look through it, and there's the Unfair Stamp in the top two cards. Oh, it is a Enhanced Hammer on the top card. I thought it was an... Wait, actually, is it? No, it is an Enhanced Hammer. So Unfair Stamp, when he looks through his deck initially to go get a target with Ultra Ball, is in the top two cards. I feel like you see Noah make that little bit, like, I feel like most people know what I'm saying when I say this. Like, when you go to play a card that can't find the card you want, but you realize the card was in the top couple cards. So if you just use Refinement or use Concealed Cards, you would have just got the card, and you're like, oh, I should just use the thing. But this is the correct ordering here from Noah to maximize the odds to potentially find the reset stamp, obviously. Noah was disqualified, and the judges showed him this clip as the reason. Okay, well, if that actually is what happened, then that kind of confirms that there's nothing else for TPCI to really say as a different reason why Noah was disqualified. Okay, so I'm going to play this. So Noah uses the Ultra Ball here, recognizes that the stamp is there. It's like, all right, the stamp's there. That's the card I need, yada, yada, yada. Let me go get this Jirachi, and then I'm going to go to use Concealed Cards, go to use Refinement, try and get that reset stamp, or Unfair Stamp, excuse me. I always call it reset stamp. There's the Jirachi grab off the Ultra Ball, and then, of course, needs to shuffle the deck, sufficiently randomize the deck, and then we'll proceed to draw cards with the Concealed Cards of Greninja, and then obviously if he needs to use Refinement to find the Unfair Stamp, well, there. And so the things that people are calling out as sus, the one thing that people made a statement about that is just not true, is people said that Noah put the Unfair Stamp on top of his deck, which we can tell when you just watch the clip. You can just tell that is not what happened. Noah uses the Ultra Ball, and Unfair Stamp is just in the top two cards of the deck. So that's like one statement that people were making that is just not true. The follow-up from there, another statement that people made that we'll get to here in a second is that Noah did not offer the deck to Henry to cut, which is also not true and confirmed from Henry on Twitter that the deck was offered to cut. And you can even see Henry make a motion waving off the cut in this coming up here in a second. And then the third thing that people bring up is that, or the biggest thing, I guess, is that Noah shuffled in a way that left the Unfair Stamp on top of the deck. So we're going to watch that here. We're going to try and count where the Unfair Stamp is, and if it makes sense for it to, like, if it looks like it was, like, shuffled in a way that leaves the Unfair Stamp in the top two cards. I think another thing to mention here, though, as far as, like, the cutting/tapping thing goes, apparently Henry was tapping a decent amount throughout the game, I believe. I went back and looked at a little bit of it yesterday. So, like, theoretically, if you are trying to stack a card into a certain area, you have to, like, if you are stacking, you're trying to predict what your opponent is going to do between cutting or tapping or shuffling your deck, and that's where you'd want to put your card in a certain way to, like, account for that as well. So if, like, Henry was tapping the whole game, then, like, if you were trying to stack a card, you'd stack it on top, hoping Henry would tap, and then you draw into the card. Or if your opponent's cutting to the middle of your deck, then you try and put the card in the middle of the deck, yada, yada, yada. All right, let's see how Noah does end up shuffling this deck. So here's the first. So to start off here, it does look a little bit weird because Noah misses the mash twice. So an argument you could have against Noah that he is cheating would be, well, he's trying to set up the mash and line it up perfectly. And going into this with people telling you that, like, Noah cheated and yada, 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 it definitely looks bad. I'm not going to lie. Like, the way that Noah shuffles the deck does look a little bit sus. I'm not gonna lie, it does look a little bit sus. So I think a lot of people were immediately quick to jump to assume that Noah was cheating, or did cheat, because, you know, you're going into it with the idea that, oh my gosh, this person got caught cheating, let me watch the clip. And you watch the clip, and then like this first shuffle here from Noah, it does look bad. Like, it does look bad. There's no other way to put it. So he like misses the mash twice, and then finally, so the and where is the unfair stamp at this point? So the unfair stamp is in the right hand, the top hand here. It's the second card on the top hand. And then misses the mash once, misses the mash twice, and then finally gets it. So at this point, I can't tell if it's 2 or 1 cards in the top 2 cards here. It's 1 or 2 cards in the top 2 cards right here. So the unfair stamp is theoretically the 3rd or the 4th card right now. It's the 3rd or the 4th card right now. And then we get another cut here. So now the unfair stamp is let's call it the 3rd card. So it's the 3rd card. Another card ends up, at least this looks like it's 1 card on top. So now the unfair stamp is the 4th card in the deck, in the stack. And now that gets cut again, and it's still there in the 4th card, and now it's the 5th card. So now it would be the 5th card. Man, it just keeps going lower and lower. Am I like miscounting this in my head? I guess no, it's not technically the 5th card because you are splitting it into other cards. So at this point, I don't know. I lose track of the card. I guess at this point, you can't really tell where the card is because it's getting split every time. So it could be going lower or it could be going higher. So actually, it could be the top card at this point, or it could be a lower card at this point. But you can't really tell where the stamp is, as far as I can tell. Someone chat can correct me if you can actually know where the card is at this point. There's a double miscut. So the stamp at this point is the 3rd or 4th card. And then cuts again. And it is being like sufficiently mashed each time, it looks like. The cards are separating into each other every single time. Stamp on the first one is still the 2nd card. No, it's the 3rd. It's the 3rd or 4th card because 2 cards from the middle of the deck go above it. So it's the 3rd or 4th at that point. But it is being mashed in every single time. And then we go to was this a Hindu shuffle, or does it end up being a mash? This goes to a mash. The top card doesn't change on that one, or the top cards don't change on that one, into a riffle. It looks like the top 2 cards stay the top 2 cards. And then this is the one where it becomes a Hindu shuffle. This is like a Hindu side shuffle, I guess. But cards from the middle get thrown on top, it looks like, and then more on top. And then it goes like on top and then into the middle. So he like cuts the deck, throws a bunch on top, and then throws some in the middle, and then puts it down, goes to cut Henry's deck. And this is where you see Henry like wave off. This is where Henry like waves off Noah's cut. Noah puts the deck down, and then you see Henry's hand here waving off. He's like, basically, I'll tap. Is basically what he's saying with this motion. Would be my interpretation of it. But we have further confirmation. Henry did make a post on Twitter saying, I was offered the cut, and I tapped. And I don't think Noah was doing anything malicious. And then here comes a cut for Noah, finishing up at the end of Henry's turn. I don't know what Henry did, where there needs to be a cut here on Henry's side of the field, but apparently something. Maybe the Super Rod got played at the end before the Screamtail attacked or something. And then we see... Oh, Jirachi's taking off the Ultra Rod. I was like, wait, did Noah just draw for turn? That doesn't make any sense. And now we see Noah go into the concealed cards, and the reset stamp is in the top 2 cards of the deck, but the top card is now... The top card is now a Super Rod, not the Enhanced Hammer. So something changed. Did the reset or the unfair stamp stay the 2nd card the whole time? It's possible, but that is also possible. If a deck is sufficiently randomized, it's possible. If a deck becomes, if a stack of 15 cards is in a certain order and then is sufficiently randomized, it's possible it's the exact same order after being sufficiently randomized. That is possible. So, I mean, the stamp could be the 2nd card. The shuffle didn't look that bad overall. The shuffle didn't look that bad overall. And, I mean, yeah, the stamp is in the top 2, which is the card that no one needs, but it doesn't mean he cheated. And the shuffle looked sufficiently random to me. That shuffle didn't look that bad at all. You could argue that maybe it wasn't sufficiently random, but it doesn't look like there was anything intentional happening for sure. I didn't look like there was anything intentional happening for sure. You could argue it's like maybe not sufficiently random, but honestly, to me, for how many cards are left in the deck there, that looked pretty sufficiently random to me. That looks sufficiently random to me for sure. And someone just had a question. Just telling me in chat that I want to draw a point to. Deck is so randomized, it's crazy. It's randomized enough. Oh, someone said, what would someone say? Maybe Noah got DQ'd for randomly cutting Henry's deck. Well, no, he cut Henry's deck because Henry was shuffling his deck and it needed to be cut. Also, was shown this clip and was told. Noah was shown this clip and was told, apparently, by someone in chat, as they're going off of someone in chat, that he was DQ'd for this. Like, he was shown this clip and was told this is why he was DQ'd. Look at the shuffle closer and in slow-mo. What do you mean? I was looking at it in slow-mo. What is your analysis of it, Grant? So, closer and in slow-mo, and then what? We can go back and watch it again. Let's give it another watch through. I think it's like the quality is like, oh, maybe that'll help. All right. Oh wait, that was the first shuffle. All right, we'll watch it one more time. So we'll watch for the break. He keeps in the cards for the first cut. The break of what? Enhance. So right now, the reset stamp is in the top hand, the right hand of Noah, at the second card, or the unfair stamp. The stamp is the second card in the right hand, and then there's the miss on the mash. Misses mashing twice, then goes for then connects with the mash, and it's either 1 or 2 cards now on the top of the deck. So the stamp is it could even be further down, to be honest. I guess technically at this point, but it's probably the 3rd or the 4th card. Look at his index finger in the right hand. This finger. Okay. But at this point, how can you even track the stamp at that point if you're on his side? All right, we'll watch it one more time. I can't track where the stamp is at this point. It doesn't look like he's doing anything to like leave a card in a certain area at this point either. Azul, after taking Jirachi, he made stamp the top card. No, he didn't. You know what, Raging Rex? I'm not going to go back and watch it for you further. You go pull up the clip and watch it. The stamp is in the top 2 cards when he picks up his deck to look through it, and it stays in the top 2 cards when he goes to shuffle his deck. He does not take the stamp and put it in the top cards. Go watch it yourself, and you'll be corrected. All right, then there's a riffle. That's the big one there, where it feels like a huge chunk of cards gets changed up at the top, was this shuffle right here. There. Chunk on top, and then push into the middle. He moved the top card? He didn't move the top card. Go watch the clip, Raging Rex. He didn't move the top card. And then that's where Henry waves off the cut. I'm not going to respond to you again, but if you bring it up again, I'm just going to time you out. For his mash, he's grabbing the top card and not mashing it low enough to cover the bottom of the deck most times. The bottom card doesn't change for a while. Well, this is the thing. This is the one right here where it feels like, how are you ever tracking the cards at this point? Like this sequence of like, how is any card ever being tracked once you get into this into the Hindus here? Like from here, what are we doing? What are we grabbing? There's the riffle. And then we're grabbing middle of the deck, throwing some on top, some to the middle. Middle of the deck, throwing some on top, some to the middle. Middle of the deck, throwing some on top, some on top. Like, could anyone actually track the stamp there? Someone would have to, if someone genuinely thinks, if you pause the video, you can use comma and period to move it frame by frame. Can you really? Oh my gosh. All right, going in. Now we're going hella in-depth analysis here. All right, frame by frame. Here we go. All right. I think he reverses the stack onto the bottom and throws it to the top at the end. All right, so here we go into the Hindu. That's a stack of cards from the middle of the deck. A bunch go to the top. Some from the middle of the stack in the hand stays and then goes to the middle. All right. And then we go in again. It restacks. And then once again, a bunch from the middle. Some get thrown on top. And then some push into the middle. And then one more time. Oh, this is not even a Hindu shuffle. This is like it's like a Hindu into mash. Because you're like dropping some on top and then mashing the rest into the deck. It's like a Hindu into a mash. And then final time, some from the middle. And then I think it's a double throw on top. Throw some on top. Holy smokes. And then puts the deck down. Yeah, I can't track the stamp of that. I'm not able to track the stamp at that point. So I don't know, like, and like, let's say, all right, I can't track the stamp. Some people in chat seem to think they can track the stamp, from what I can tell. But if I can't track the stamp, then I'm not comfortable with saying that Noah cheated. That's for sure. So my conclusion at this point would definitely be that Noah definitely did not cheat here. That would be my, like, I'm confident with saying I don't think Noah cheated here. It's kind of hard to say for sure if it's intentional or not. To me, it looked like a very practiced and smooth maneuver, but multiple character witnesses say that it's just an accident. Regardless, you need to know better. You need to know better to, one, shuffle better, and two, not look insanely sus at this level of competition. I definitely don't disagree with the fact that he looked sus in the opening of the shuffle. I said that at the beginning as well. I think he did look sus, but like we should be able to analyze further than that. You know, we can analyze further than that as humans. We can be like, okay, it looks sus. Let's see what the rest is, right? Obviously, we can go further than that, right? And honestly, I don't think his shuffle was that bad. I think like his deck, like for how many cards are left in the deck, I think that's probably close to sufficiently random, if not sufficiently random. Like that looked fine. That looked sufficiently random to me, to be honest. Like people are saying that if anything, if he didn't cheat, his deck is definitely not sufficiently randomized. I don't know. That looked pretty sufficiently random to me. I don't know what people expect with that small of a deck as far as how many matches should be used, but that seemed reasonable to me. Do you know card magic tricks? I do not. But let's go ahead and read through. So we've watched the video now. I can't track the stamp. I don't know how anyone could track the stamp there. And it doesn't mean he's not cheating, but I couldn't track it. But let's go ahead. We'll go to Noah's Twitter thread next, and we'll read through that. I've seen a lot of misunderstanding surrounding my situation at NAIC, where I allegedly stacked my deck, which I did not. To show this, I want to give my side of the story and provide some insight into what I was thinking during the game. There were definitely some weird-looking moments that make much more sense within the context of the game, so I hope that with the attached video, I can clear up any confusion regarding those clips. Here's the video of my explanation and thoughts on the situation. Piper's video on the mechanics and explanation as to why it is sufficient randomization of the deck to clear up any concerns about me not offering the cut. Here is where Henry had confirmed that he tapped. Last thing on this, this is from Henry, Noah's opponent. Last thing on this, the people who said he didn't present his deck to cut, I said you're good to him as he was finishing shuffling, so that is why he didn't do it. So Henry confirms that the cut was offered, and Noah, or maybe the cut was never offered, but Henry stepped in and said, I don't want to cut. I don't want to cut. To be precise as possible, I compiled pictures from the clip to show the order of the cards. Never changes while I am searching the deck. Here they are. Oh, okay. So Noah's just trying to confirm that, but that should be obvious to anyone who watches the clip. So we'll go to this first. Anyone who watches the clip should realize the stamp was in the top two and stayed in the top two. Like, all you have to do is watch the clip. The people who are still saying he put the stamp on top of his deck just haven't watched the clip. Or if you haven't watched the clip, you're actually just blind. It's one of the two. It can't be, there's no in between here though. Because if you just go to the clip, now I'm doing it. Now I'm actually showing it. I said I wasn't going to show it. If you just go to the clip, we can watch it in normal speed. Go here. Noah goes play Ultra Ball, pick up deck. And the stamp is this is the top of the deck. This thing in the right hand, is the top of the deck. We'll go back one more time. Top of the deck, the stamp is in the top two cards of the deck. It's just naturally there. Looks through it again, stamp's still there, and then goes through, gets the Jirachi, and takes Jirachi off the Ultra Ball. So the stamp was always in the top two. He never put the stamp in the top two. Definitely would think about this and look at this way differently if Noah had adjusted the placement of the stamp. If Noah had taken the stamp and put it in the top two cards of the deck, I would be viewing this completely differently. But he didn't. So it was in the top two. And after sufficiently randomizing the deck, it ended in the top two. That is possible. So we can listen to Noah's video right now as well on loom.com. I'm not sure.
Hello, everyone.
how many viruses we're gonna get from watching a video from Loom.com, but we'll see what Noah's got to say. We'll watch through this thoroughly. It's 12 minutes. Hey, we can watch through it all, or most of it. We'll see where this goes.
This is Noah. As you may have heard, I was disqualified from the North American International Championships this weekend for allegedly stacking on stream. In this video, I want to go through the actual incident and kind of tell you some of my thought processes for some actions that seemed strange, and just kind of show that I didn't stack. So first of all, I want to be clear. The reasons I was given for the disqualification were that I had stacked my deck. And what that was kind of boiled down to was, first of all, the top card of my deck didn't change when I was shuffling, and that the Super Rod and Dark Energy moved when I was deck searching for the Ultra Ball. Both of these aren't correct, and I'm going to show this. So first, let's kind of... So first, what I do here is I'm thinning for my concealed cards, which I'm hoping to hit unfair stamp off of.
All right, so we already know, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
See that I am at the...
So we already went through this.
Unfair stamp is there. And I go again, which is thought was me moving a card. As I go to show Henry, I realize I don't want to show him, I don't want to give him the information that unfair stamp is A, a card in my deck, and B, that I don't want to show him. As I go to show Henry was what kind of she is statistically correct, so that to give myself the best chance of drawing something that I want. So I go to check it, and you'll see that I kind of react to it. Like, oh man, unfair stamp is there. And I go again to look at it, and this weird hand motion was what the judges thought was me moving a card. As I go to show Henry, I realize I don't want to show him. I don't want.
So that would be like a really bad take from the judges if like the judges watched the video and thought Noah moved a card, which once again, if you just watch the video, you see Noah doesn't move a card. And Noah is saying here that he was thinking about just like showing, like, because Henry probably understands that Noah wants to find the stamp. Noah knows he wants to find the stamp, and he was thinking about showing it to Henry and be like, oh, it's right there. If I just use refinement or whatever, I would have had it. But then realized, well, if I don't draw into it this turn, then I don't want Henry to know that maybe one, I play unfair stamp over Aroma, or two, that it's in the deck and not like prize or something. Which like I think like that makes sense to me as someone who's like a Pokemon player who's been playing for so long. Like all these thought processes have entered my brain before when playing the PokemonTCG, and depending on who I'm playing against, if it's someone I'm friendly with, I would like show them that the card was right there. I was so close to it, you know? So yeah, I don't know. If you've been playing Pokemon long enough, I think you probably understand Noah's thought process here. Like I definitely understand Noah's thought process in that situation. Like I've had that same thought process before.
I'm gonna give him the information that unfair stamp is A, a card in my deck, and B, on my deck list. So I don't want him to know that it's the A-spec of choice in my deck, and I don't want him to know that it's not prized. So I go to show him, and then I realize I don't want to show him, so I kind of take it back, and it kind of hits the Dark Energy. And I'm going to play that again.
I think we want to
and it kind of hits the Dark Energy. One of the either the unfair stamp got moved or the Dark Energy, that sub energy, and it looks like that either the unfair stamp got moved or the Dark Energy got moved. But if you'll look at the beginning of the deck search, the position of the cards.
Okay, we already know this.
Camera on. This is goes so. You can see Turo and Super beginning of it. So the order of the deck does not change.
Is it better?
So that's kind of the first claim against me stacking, kind of disproven, I guess. The deck. Enhanced Hammer. The cards I draw. I missed it. Basically, here. Yeah, the cards I draw are Unfair Stamp and Super Rod. So if the top two cards of the deck never change throughout the shuffle, Enhanced Hammer should be in my hand. But it's not. So that kind of doesn't seem right. So me and my friends kind of decided to look more closely at the shuffle, and that I did here. Okay, I was just checking my notes. So next, what we're going to talk about is the shuffling aspect of this. This was the claim that top card of my deck never got moved. So the first part about this is this shuffle. I'm just going to play it again. So that kind of hesitation, it looks suspicious. But in reality, what it is that my deck is really small right now, and I missed. I missed my mash. So
And I like this is once again, this is an experience I have had. When your deck is really, I have missed my mash before. So like once again, and I'm not saying so this like that shouldn't be like that statement by itself from me shouldn't be like 100%, you know, make you think that Noah's innocent for sure. But I like, and anyone who's played the game long enough and mash shuffles knows that when you have a really small deck, you sometimes miss your mash, or it's really awkward to mash a small deck. Like it is a real thing. It's not like so. That's like something you definitely want. Like a lot of people who look at this probably look at this and don't believe Noah, or don't understand what happened. But when I watched this video, I immediately understood that Noah probably just missed his mash, because I've had that happen before. Because it's really hard to mash a deck when it's really, really small. You just miss sometimes. So I think a lot of people who haven't been playing as long, or just only riffle or don't mash, or people who like only play online who are like watching this scenario or don't play enough in general, look at this and like it does look sus. I'm not gonna lie, especially if you don't play enough to ever have that come up. But yeah, you sometimes just miss the mash, just miss when the deck is really small. It's like hard to like line them up, especially if you're not like looking directly at the deck, which. Like for me personally, and that's what something I mentioned when I watched this for the first time. It doesn't look like Noah's looking at his hands and the cards. People are just looking at his hands and his cards, which I don't do either. I'm usually looking at the board state, thinking about the board state while I'm shuffling. And that's what I mentioned when I first watched this, was it doesn't look like Noah's looking at his hands with the deck. So it makes it even more likely that he would miss the mash there.
Kind of like extreme nerves. A lot of aspects are happening. I missed. So that's kind of why I get this weird shuffle. That makes it look like I'm trying to keep a specific card on top of my deck. I then go into this shuffle. So played on 1x speed, that looks like the same card is on top of the deck. Now I'm going to play this on 0.25 speed, because this is the best way to look at it. And Piper did a really good video on this that I'm going to link below, and where she kind of explains the mechanics of it and how to do it so that you can replicate for yourself, because I feel like that's a really good way of understanding it, because it looks really weird on stream. So, no, I miss. And then, so what you're going to want to notice is where I take the cards from. So I take the cards from the top of the deck, right? So right here is the top card. I put it into the deck, and it's like maybe the top card is now maybe like 1 to 2 cards down, right? I now do this again, right? Where I take the top of the deck and I put it into it. Now, like the top card is like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle-ish, I guess. Do it again. And this card isn't the top card. This card is like some card from the middle that I'm taking and mashing here. It just looks like it's the same top card. So if I play this on 1x speed again, yeah, I'm taking from the top, moving it in, and the top card is getting randomized. The whole deck is getting randomized. So like a big like point of proof why the top card is being randomized is that if you look at what I draw here off of the concealed cards, it's super odd unfair stamp, right? The unfair stamp is what people thought was suspicious. But what's important to note is what's missing is the enhanced hammer. If the top card of the deck never changed, enhanced hammer would be in my hand, but instead I drew super odd. So that doesn't really add up. And again, it's because I'm randomizing my deck sufficiently in this with that shuffle. It just looks like this top card is staying the same. So I want to go more into my shuffle. So after I do that, I do a mash where the top card doesn't change. I do a riffle where the top card doesn't change, because if you look here, as most riffles normally work, the pile is the one that goes on top, which is this one here. But this is okay because I do this shuffle here. And this shuffle here, it looks really weird on stream, but as one of the Twitter users pointed out, it's much easier to see with different contrast. So I have their video pulled up with better contrast over here.
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
So doing that shuffle, what's happening is I'm mashing these cards into the deck. So I'm partially taking like cards from the middle and I'm putting them on top, and then I'm mashing other cards into the deck.
Yeah, like how would the stamp ever like?
This is
How would
like,
you ever
and then I'm
track the
grabbing
stamp after
from
this?
the cards that I
And this makes it like so much easier to see because it like the this makes it like it's a really good idea. Whoever
with better contrast over here. So doing that shuffle. What's happening is I'm
like
mashing.
a huge chunk goes from the middle onto the top at that point. Like how is anyone tracking how are you tracking the stamp at that point? How is the stamp ever being tracked?
These cards into the deck.
And let's say Noah even was tracking the stamp and was able to. How could you watch this video? How could you like sit there and analyze this video and be like, yeah, he was tracking stamp? How could you do that? No one, I guarantee they don't have anyone backstage who is good enough at or who knows enough about like this stuff to like look at that and be like, yep, he was tracking it. Like if they looked at it long enough. I feel like someone watched it once and like I feel like someone watched or read Tate's Twitter post basically saying like he's stacking, he's cheating, watched it once with that like preconceived notion. Is that the correct term to use? Preconceived notion, and was like, I'm locked in. Let's do it. Let's run it. DQ him. Like I feel like no one watched this twice, and I doubt they even watched it at like a slower speed. Because if you just slow it down and watch it, it's like, how are you ever walking away from this being like, yep, he stacked his unfair stamp? How are you ever walking away from it like that?
So I'm partially taking like cards from the middle and I'm putting them on top, and then I'm mashing other cards into the deck. This is like, and then I'm grabbing from the cards that I mashed into the deck, from the area I mashed, I'm grabbing it, I'm putting it on top, and then mashing it into the deck. So what ends up happening is it's getting randomized. I go through this a few times. The top card is changing. It's not like I'm just cutting my deck over and over again or doing just like a Hindu shuffle. Well, it does look like that on stream because, again, white sleeves, bad choice. So basically, the deck is randomized here. I went through this clip countless times today about the game Mind Bend Dream. Super cool line. I know that there's.
All right, so then the big question from here is like, what do we think should happen? So, DQ judges now. So I think the biggest thing to so first people came after Noah for potentially cheating. I think once you watch everything and get all the information, which you should probably try and do before you have a strong opinion on anything, including like in life in general. This isn't just like for the situation. This isn't just for the PokemonTCG cheater trying to catch cheaters. It's like life in general. Get some information, do some research, then have a strong opinion. When you do the research, when you watch the videos, Noah wasn't stacking here, right? And then from there, it's like, okay, well, what should happen? Well, it's like, we don't need to ban the judge. The judge doesn't need to be banned. And it's not like one judge specifically. Like, it is the head judge, right? This probably went up to the head judge. The head judge looked at it. I don't think they looked at it very thoroughly, though, because even when I watched it once yesterday, slowed it down, I was like, yeah, this doesn't look bad at all. Once you like slow it down and look at it, it looks like the deck was randomized and it looks fine. So yeah, the judge doesn't need to be banned from judging or anything like that. Like, I mean, obviously if they're like have a ton of like a really bad history of judging, and maybe at some point, sure, but nothing needs to happen to the judge. It was a mistake on their end, for sure, and hopefully they improve their system so mistakes like this don't happen in the exact same way in the future, where, because it seems like to me like probably someone just like watched the clip once after reading Tate's tweet on Twitter and went in with like an ordinary idea that Noah was probably cheating or stacking, watched it once and was like, oh yeah, it looks like it was cheating or stacking. Probably didn't watch it too many times and didn't slow it down. Needed to do more, for sure, I feel like, because if you like slow it down and actually like watch it a little bit more thoroughly, then you'll realize, yeah, he's not stacking here. But mistake was made. He was DQ'd. Now I think what we want from Pokemon is we want him to come out and say, hey, we messed up. Noah shouldn't have been DQ'd, but he was. Not every, and they could even like, you know, follow it up. Not every system's perfect. We're always constantly improving ours to try to make it as fair as possible. We won't be able to un-DQ Noah, but I think if they came out and gave him his Worlds invite, gave him the 80 points that he would have got if he had lost every other round from this point on, then I think that's what we want from Pokemon. I just want to see Pokemon. They don't need to, send us after a judge or say that they, disciplined a judge or banned a judge from ever judging every. We don't need that. That's not what we need. A mistake was made. It would just be cool to see Noah get the points he would have gotten to be able to, get his Worlds invite. Basically, just give him his Worlds invite, give him the points. let him play at Worlds, yada yada, and an apology, right? Definitely apologize to him. Say, yeah, we messed up, but once again, like not every system's perfect. We shouldn't expect it to be perfect ourselves. There's going to be more unjust penalties and DQs in the future in the Pokemon TCG. This isn't the end of it, but we want it to lead to like making those systems better, so there's less of them and it's less likely to happen, right? So that would be great if that's what they can come to at this point. That's the conclusion that TPCI can come to at this point.